Okay, a very warm good afternoon. I'm Riya Singh. Welcome, Mr. Sumit Bhatia, the author of the book The Randomness of Life, which is a stunning collection of the prose poem and that finds the profound meaning of life's fleeting, imperfect, and often unnoticed moments. So, without seeking the grand conclusion, this book often holds a mirror on the entire human experience and it we are thrilled to welcome this author. So, Mr. Sumit Bhatia, very welcome to you in this interview.
Thank you very much, Ria. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, my very first question to you is about your poem, The Randomness of Life. So, there is a very beautiful line that you have written that it's a collection born not from the answers, but from the questions. So, could you elaborate this and what specific questions you are talking about?
Yeah, I think so. When we look at life, right, we always try and find the answers in a lot of things. But life is not as easy. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'll start again just 1 minute. Yeah, so uh, when we're looking at life, we're always trying to find answers that life can give us. But life is not as easy or as simple or as complex. It's life, right? It's life is always having a lot of questions that we tend to try and find the answers towards. So the book was kind of a reflection in different stages of life where we are as we are born, as we are growing up, as we are maturing, and even as uh, we are towards the end of our life and even after life, right? What are some of the things that we want to ask life from? And so that's where it's more questions that we try to find, not rather than answers.
So, your work celebrates the beautiful, unpredictable things and moments that don't follow the scripts, if I would say. So, does the role of unpredictability play in your personal life, and how do you feel it contributes the meaningful existence?
Yeah, again, there is never a straight path that we can always assume that life will follow, and every moment brings in new things that we know, and we can't predict what will happen next, right? Otherwise, it will be so easy to live, right? And it's so uh, life is actually bringing us a lot of different aspects every moment, and it's unpredictable in many ways. You don't know what's happening today, tomorrow. You can only act on certain things as you feel right now, and then hope that it translates into some things in future. But then also you can't predict in for sure that yes, everything will happen as I am wanting it to happen. So that has played a lot of role, a large role in how things have transpired in my own life, both personally as well as professionally, where we have wanted to do certain things in a certain way, but it never turns out that way. So all you can do is try and be your best and try and put in all efforts in the moment right now and hope that it turns out that the way you want it. So yeah, I think my point around unpredictability is that's how what life is, and you can never be sure of what's going to happen in future. And so just do what you can today in the moment.
So the poem, The First Lie, discusses a very small and very seemingly insignificant lie that left a feeling of both power and loneliness. So can you able to speak how you explore these complex emotions of growing up and self-discovery in your work?
Yeah, and then when I was thinking of certain themes that I wanted to explore when I was writing this book, and especially in the growing up years when we are uh, transforming from, say, toddlers to young adults to teenagers. A lot of time we see a lot of things happening around us, but we don't realize till we experience it ourselves and that's where the first lie is, right? When you try and innocently tell a lie, and then you're not caught, then it's a certain uh, change that happens inside you, which you don't even realize. But when you reflect on and you say that maybe it wasn't as bad as everybody was saying, it's okay to lie, and then later on you realize that maybe it wasn't okay to lie, maybe truth was the better option for me to go. What did I gain out of it, right? So it's that conflict that always happens in your growing years, that you get away with certain things, but then you realize that maybe it wasn't the right thing to do, or maybe it was, right? That's the conflict I wanted to bring in as we see when we are growing in that teenage.
And it also becomes an habit, like sometimes it becomes
Absolutely.
an habit, and then we realize that, okay, we are not that kind of a person in real, I would say.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So many of your poems, like The Mirror Ask and Where the Silence Resides, seems to deal with the internal conversation we have with ourselves. So, what is the importance of this internal dialogue to your creative process?
I think very, very important. And as an individual, I think we have the most conversations with ourselves without even realizing. Like subconsciously, we are always talking to ourselves, and it's important to understand what are we telling ourselves, and that builds a lot of our own character and our own story. If we are telling ourselves something that is bad, then we are building our own character to be like that. If we are telling ourselves to be good, then we are building our own character like that, right? So in lot of my own silent times when I'm not with anybody, I do a lot of introspection and reflection in what's happening around this, and that's where, when silence resides, that's what I started to pen down. From a mirror perspective, uh, again, I've put in two poems around mirror. The first one is when we look at the mirror as a teenager and as a growing up adult. We look at mirror when we are trying to be somebody else. Maybe when we want to become like somebody, and we are not our true selves, and we are saying that, okay, if I look like that, maybe if I act like that, if I do this, I will be better. Because it's still a growing up age, and we are trying to think that if we emulate somebody, we might better, right? So that's the first part of how we look and reflect ourselves in the mirror. The second one is more when we have grown up and we are okay with what we see in the mirror, right? We are okay with saying, okay, I am what I am, and this is what I want to show the world, rather than telling or showing something else to the world which I am not personally, what I don't believe in also, right? So that's the two different aspects of what I've built in, and it's all about self introspection and what we see ourselves in the mirror and how we want to show to the world.
Absolutely. So, my next question to you is about your poem, I Married You in Pieces, Not All at Once, which is actually a beautiful, I would say, that topic. So, you talk about the love being built not just in grand moments, but in small and difficult ones, which generally is overlooked by people. So, how does this particular poem connect you with the overall theme of finding grace and connection in the life's unpredictability?
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think there's anything that is perfect, right? There's nothing in this life that is perfect. There's always two sides of the coin, and in marriage also, I've experienced it. I know a lot of people around it where we tend to see only the good sides of things and not the bad sides of things, and as humans, we will have both sides happening in everyday life, and especially with your partners. If you're married, you're living 24 hours with somebody throughout your life. You're sharing a lot of insights outsides, and that's where it's important to understand that marriage is not just one thing. It's like bits and pieces of a lot of things put together. It's like a puzzle, right? And it's like you have to put all those pieces together. You can't leave out one piece, because then it doesn't complete the puzzle. And one of those pieces may be torn, maybe not fitting too well, but you still have to try and do this. So that was my intent of saying when we marry each other, we are looking at all the good, bad, ugly side of everything and try to fit it into this. And it's all about ensuring that you're putting in your effort, you're being patient, you're giving time around all this. And I'm not saying you should, if your marriage is not working, you should stay even if it's not working. I'm saying at least have that clarity that it's a lot of efforts that we need to make to at least ensure that it works. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't, then it's up to individual, right? But at least trying to put that picture out in front.
Yeah. So, next question for you is about the poem, "The Rhythm of Your Soul," which touches on the idea that certain fleeting moments, like the smell of wet earth or a mother's hand, so which live on with us, within us, I would say. So, how do you select these specific sensory details to evoke such a strong feeling in your, like, in the minds of your readers?
Yeah. So how I came across is when I was thinking of what what builds us through the years, what creates us as humans, and those are those small things that never leave us, and they get embedded in our soul, right? When through our growing up years, for example, when we are playing in the mud, that smell, the taste, and the feeling of that wet mud that stays with you throughout your life, the
Right.
smell of rain that stays with you, the certain aspects of food that you've eaten at your home, no matter uh, how much cost you pay for any luxury food, you're never able to equate it to some of those things. And certain things about the way your parents bring you up, the way the sacrifices they make, or the way they help you grow through that. A lot of those things never go away from, and that gets etched in your soul is what it is, and that creates your whole rhythm of how your heart beats, so to say. And that's what I've uh, tried to put it in words in this
Yeah.
poem.
These sensory things that you have mentioned, I'm sure when the readers read it, they're gonna feel that. Because when I talk to you, when I have been just you told about the mud and things, even I'm feeling it. So I'm sure the readers, when they read the poem, they're gonna imagine that environment that okay, they are playing in the mud. They are with their mother holding her hand. It's very beautiful, I'd say. Yeah. So next
Thanks.
question for you is regarding your book कुछ अनसुनी दर्द की बातें कुछ अनकहे दर्द के किस्से, which was published with your late father's poem.
Yeah.
So how has your father's influence shaped you as a both as a poet and as a person as well?
uh, in a lot of ways, right? Fathers are probably under appreciated in a lot of ways, right? The fathers play a big role in anybody's
Yeah.
growth, any child's growth. I think we, of course, mothers, we give a lot of credit, and rightly so. But fathers are underestimated in a way that they also play a very equally important role in anybody's growth as a child. And that's what I've tried to uh, build through in my current poems as well. But especially the last book that I published was more of a tribute to my father, because I got to read some of his poems after he passed away, and I didn't get a chance to interact with him in a lot of way where I could share some of my poems in deep and understand why he wrote some of these things. So when I read some of those, I felt important for me to share that with the world. But those were few poems, right? So I had to write my own to match the theme that he had, and then I tried my best to match him, but he's far better than what I could write in that book, and I published it more as a tribute. But over the period of time after I published it, I also realized that subconsciously, because he was writing poems as well, and he used to, maybe he didn't explore that to a large extent, but he had that artistic creative skill in him,
Yeah.
which got translated into me, and through maybe subconsciously, the way
Uh,
he's helped me grow, and
in your
he's
genes, I would say.
in your genes, plus also the way he's taught certain things
Yeah.
over the period of time, maybe that's translated into some way or the other. So I think absolutely a lot of credit to whatever I have to him and parents and everybody and families and friends, right? But yeah, to father for sure.
For sure. So, very great, I would say, your father's poem, and you have learned from him. They are very rare, rare, I would say, people who learn from these artistic works from their parents.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so you have mentioned that you started writing about for your wife, Pooja. So, how does your personal experience with love, marriage, and raising two sons find its way into your poetry?
Uh, to a large extent, right? So you write what you see, what you observe, and what you experience. It's how it is, right? You are sharing your own learning experience in it, and any person who's either writing or drawing or singing or whatever in a way that contributing will bring in their own journey into that as an outcome. So, of course, I started writing uh, on the theme of love, mainly to impress who she was my girlfriend earlier, to impress her, and then she became my wife, and continued to write in that context. So it's shaped a lot, and then through the years, as life has given a lot of experience in personal side as well as professional side, you see a lot of things, you hear a lot of things from other people, and you experience it yourself, and so it has definitely shaped in what I've shared, and uh, it's been a month since the book has released, and what I've heard as feedback from some of the readers is that they see a reflection of themselves in some of these poems, and that is a great feedback for me, because then how I'm translating my own experience into these words are also somebody else is able to relate to it. So it's all life's real experiences that I've put in, either self experience or observation.
Even as an author, it's a very fulfilling thing to know that, people can relate about your work,
Absolutely,
to your work,
absolutely.
and they can even find out their own selves, which is actually a beautiful thing, because they're very rare authors which people can relate. So,
I'm
yeah.
honored. Yeah, definitely.
So, for you, the next question to you is, you have a demanding career as an HR leader. So, how do you find the balance between this professional role and creative passion for your writing poetry?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and I get asked that a lot, saying, "How do you find time to do all of
Yeah.
this, and how do you do this?" And to this, my answer is that everybody has got 24 hours in a day. There's nobody who's got more time or less time, right? We all have the same amount of time available for us. When you are passionate about something, when you want to do something that you really, really like, you will find time. That's what it is. And I really like sharing my experiences and thoughts, not only through poetry. I also write a lot on LinkedIn. I take sessions, I do mentoring, I go and teach, I do a lot of that as well. And it's all over the years. If I've learned something and I'm able to share this and help somebody else grow, that's what I find a lot of passion towards. So it's like if authors would have read the book Ikigai, that's the French Japanese concept that we have. It's finding the right balance between, and then getting to that circle of purpose. And if it's aligning with what you do and how you are able to do it, it matches really, really well. And that for me, writing has been that central thing that gives me a lot of satisfaction and helps me bring out a lot of things and see growth for myself as well when I'm writing, and I'm able to express that. So finding time towards that has not been difficult, so to say. It's like I cautiously bring out effort to find time to do this, and it doesn't happen without support. You need a lot of support from your family, your friends, because a lot of this personal time goes into this effort, right? Professionally, you're busy every day, but personally, when you're on holiday or weekend or not working, that's where you spend a lot of time writing, and that cannot happen without the support of family and their encouragement, which I think I'm grateful for sure.
So the next question to you is that in Randomness of Life, you write about the life's unscripted moments. And so can you elaborate any specific experience like that perfectly capture this idea of unscripted movement and what you wanted to convey to the readers?
Yeah, and again, like I mentioned earlier, life is unpredictable, and there's no script as well on life. There is
Any
everybody
particular
is.
example, I would say, any experience, any example?
Yeah, I mean, if I relate back to 4, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, right in 2017, 18, I was changing my job and then transitioning into something that would grow my career a lot, probably 2017 time frame. And it pivoted my career to a large extent to give me a lot of growth where I wanted to. My focus was to get into core HR, and that's what the pivot happened during
Hmm.
that time. So uh, it happened through a very unscripted way, right? I was trying, but it happened through certain well wishers who were wanting to also invest in me in growing that area, right? But at the same time, in 2018, personally, I was going through a lot of low time. I lost my father, my mother-in-law, and we were going through a lot of time. Then pandemic happened. Again, personally, if you look at my life was going very, very down and professionally it was going up. So life is very unscripted in the way. You can't say that everything should happen really, really good, or if everything is going down, it will all be down, right? So it creates its own balance in some ways. That's what life is, and it has its own way of doing things is what I would say. Though that's what unscripted means.
Yeah, because whenever there's something professionally good happens in your life, like naturally, if something happened, you wanted to celebrate those moments with your
Yeah,
family. But in family, if there's a tension going on or something happen, you can't able to do that. So
absolutely.
planning in this case doesn't work, I
Doesn't
believe.
work. Yeah. Life never lets
Yeah,
you plan, right? It's always unscripted. That's
yeah,
what I
I'm
meant on
sure.
this.
Yeah. But we wanted to plan sometimes. No, Keith, yeah, we want this thing to happen in this
We
way, in
should.
this, that,
We
that
should.
direction.
Definitely. Definitely
But
we
it never
should. And we
happens.
we we should always plan today what we want to do tomorrow. Tomorrow things may
Yeah,
change, but at least let's plan that way, right? That's what we should do.
yeah. The human brain works in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, your poem, The Mirror Ask, is a powerful poem which about self-reflection. What inspired you to explore the concept of mirror as both physical object and used as a metaphor for a deeper internal conversation?
Yeah, and I think I answered this question earlier in a way that
In the mirror, you have asked it, yeah.
correct,
But
correct.
any particular example you want to convey on to more so that the readers would get a uh, more they can relate with it. Any particular
Uh,
experience of yours?
so whenever I think throughout our growing years as well as when we mature enough, right? So for example, when we are growing up, when we see the mirror, we want to see ourselves in certain other ways. For example, in my growing year, I would think, should I keep a beard? Should I keep a mustache? Because somebody else looks good in mustache, right? Somebody else looks good in beard. Should I do it? Should I shave it? If I smile certain way with my showing my teeth, will it look good? If I smile just without showing my teeth, so it's all that kind of reflection. When my first poem that reflects is, am I trying to be my authentic self, or I'm trying to act like somebody else? But when you're mature enough and when you look at the mirror, wrinkles don't matter. How you're looking doesn't matter, because beauty is more inside than outside. And that's what I'm trying to reflect in my next poem, right? So it's both internal thought process, but what you see also at times, people, how people around you give more importance to how you look rather than
Hmm.
what you are inside. And that's what
Yes.
changes when you're young versus when you're mature. That's the whole transformation that happens.
Sometimes you need a validation from others, but you forget that it's your own validation that matters a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. So my next question is that your book is described as a celebration of the beautiful unpredictability, and how does this collection differ from your previous work, like which focused on love and loss? So
Mhm.
what is your views on it?
Yeah, when I was initially writing a lot on love and loss and love both together, right? It wasn't just loss in itself, it was loss about love, right? It was more love and things related to it. I was challenged by somebody to say, while you write a lot about love, why don't you also look at different things that happen in life? And that's what I started putting together as thoughts is and then it came across from one poem to another, and then it formed an entire theme which I called Randomness of Life. When I started to look at, okay, let's see what happens when we are born. And that's the first poem, right? It talks about, is there a
Hmm.
conversation that happens between the child, father, and mother while the child is still inside? So that's what I was trying to put together is what would that conversation be? And then starting to put together as a growing year, initial phases of love, the challenge of love as love grows, what happens in different aspects of being married with family, those kind of things. And then I also tried to explore what happens after your death. What are you leaving behind? How are people remembering you? What are you saying to people behind it? So that was the whole concept of trying to see life from different angles and trying to put this together. Right? So that's the difference I tried to create and challenged myself in writing something different.
Sure, is actually a it's very a changeable experience you had. Yes. So, what do you hope the readers will take away from the randomness of life book? So, is there any central message you wanted to convey about the findings and the meanings in everyday life?
I think couple of things. One is when somebody reads it, they will probably understand that life is very random and things happen randomly, which you can't even script or predict, like we discussed. The second thing is, I hope, like I've heard few readers, that I hope people find themselves in these poems. There are 50 poems, right? I hope at least in five of them somebody says, yes, this happened to me, or I can see myself in it. Then it will validate a lot of things for me, because if you're able to read it and say, yes, I can understand what I'm saying, and it is exactly what happened to me, or I can feel myself in it, the emotions in it,
Hmm.
then it validates to what I've written, even if it's 10% of what I've written. And it
I'm
caters to
sure it
all
will.
age groups. That the
Uh,
thing I've tried, it caters to all age groups. People who are in early career, early growing years, to people who are
hmm.
already grown and mature and lived their life throughout. Maybe they will see a lot more of their life than people growing, but it hopefully it caters to a lot of age group.
Hopefully it will. So, what's the next for you? Is there any new theme or new project you're working on or you're writing?
So I like to challenge myself, and with this book, it has helped me think little differently on what I should write, and I'm exploring a more fictional novel rather than poetry as my next book, right? So I'm just exploring that as a theme, and I have an initial thought and draft in that I've written, but I still have to do a lot of work, and maybe sometime next year I'll be ready to share that with people.
Yeah, I'm sure. So thank you, sir. It's a beautiful collection that you have given to the world, and it doesn't seek to give us answers, but rather it gives us a very beautiful, very quiet permissions to simply be and to find the extraordinary strength within our unfinished stories. So thank you so much. It's a great experience for me to have a talk with you. So thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ria. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for this interview. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.